Dicastem, transverse section, meristematic tissues and ground tissue, dermal tissue, vascular tissue. So today we are going to discuss about dermal tissue. See children, here what kind of arrangement do you observe in the outer layer of the TS of stem? So here TS, transverse section, horizontal section cutting. Okay, horizontal cutting. LS means a longitudinal section, vertical, right? Here we can find the dermal tissue over the entire surface of the plant body, children. Okay, we can find the dermal tissue over the entire surface of the plant body. We will do the following activity to observe the dermal tissue more closely. That is a rheoleaf. Leaf to observe the dermal tissue. Here, to do this activity, we have to take a fresh leaf of a rheo or beetle leaf. Beetle like Tamalapagu. Okay, and after taking that, tear it in a string in a single stroke. Okay, tear it in a single stroke. In single stroke, you have to tear that leaf. So why we have to tear in a single stroke? By tearing that in a single stroke, a thin whitish edge can be seen at the torn end. Okay, thin whitish edge can be seen at the torn end. So for that purpose, we have to tear it in a single stroke. Okay, next, see here, slowly remove it and observe that peel under the microscope by preparing a temporary mulch. Okay, as you know how to take the slide and how to collect the shampoo and you have to add a drop of water and cover it with the cover slip. Okay, so that process, and then you can see the arrangement of cells. Our cells are similar. Are there any spaces between the cells? We have to observe. This activity shows a part of the dermal tissue of the plant's children. See here, dermal tissue, think about dermis, usually consists of a single layer of cells showing variations in the types of cells. Here, on the basis of the function and location. Okay, on the basis of a function location, these tissues are divided into three different types of. Okay, so those are here. One is a epidermis, second one is a meso, third one is endo. Okay, dermal tissue usually consists of a single layer of cells showing variations in the types of cells on the basis of their function and location. These tissues are divided into three different types. Okay, what are they? One is epidermis, epi, second one is a meso, and the third one endo. Epi, meso, endo. Epi, meso, endo. So epidermis and mesodermis and endodermis. Okay. Okay. Epidermis, mesodermis, and endodermis. Here, epidermis is nothing but a outermost layer. Outermost layer. And mesodermis, meso middle layer. Okay. Mesodermis is a middle layer. Right. And here, next, endodermis. Endodermis is a innermost layer. Okay, innermost layer. Endodermis is a innermost layer. The walls of the cells of a dermal tissue are comparatively thicker than the cells of a meristematic tissue, children. Okay, when compared to meristematic tissue, the walls of the dermal tissue thicker. Okay, the walls of the cells of dermal tissue are comparatively thicker than the cells of a meristematic tissue. Okay, the walls of the dermal tissue is thicker than meristematic tissue. See, in desert plants, it may be even more thick and waxy. As you know, in desert plants. So desert plants, there is a availability of water is less. So these desert plants can modify their structures. Okay, it may be even more thick and waxy, to protect their body from that environment. Okay, and to prevent the loss of water, their leaves will modified into a small thorns. Okay, it's not contain a bigger leaves. It's modified into small thorns to prevent the loss of water. So the type of modification we can see in desert plants. So here, coming to desert plants, it may be even more thick and waxy, Here it is important, pan children. Small pores are seen in the epidermis of the leaf. Okay, so small pores here, small pores are seen in the epidermis of the leaf. Small pores means like a whole stem. Okay, small pores are seen in the epidermis of the leaf called the stomata. Okay, stomata is the nose of the plant, right? So how the exchange of gas is taking place in our nose, like that, it is stomata, exchange of gases will takes place in the plant. That's why stomata is considered as a nose of the plant. So small pores are seen in the epidermis of the leaf called stomata. Important. Okay, they are enclosed by two kidney shaped, like bean shaped cells. Okay, they are enclosed by two kidney shaped or bean shaped like cells. Those are called God cells. Okay, God cells. Here two, in middle we can see that two bean shaped or kidney shaped cells are present. Okay, so this stomata enclosed by two kidney shaped cells. Those cells are called God cells. Cells at the roots have long hair-like structures. Hair like pods called root hairs. Okay, root hair. Next, see here. Have you ever seen a sticky substance on the trunk or branches of tree like acacia and neem? Okay, what is it? Where the gum secreted from? Do you know? See here, plants have the ability to store certain substances that are either their excretory products or accumulated food or some secretory substances in different ways, children. So gum is secreted from the dermal layer of a gum tree. Okay. So what is the gum? The plants have the ability to store certain substances that are either their excretory products or accumulated food. Okay, or some secretory substances in different ways. So gum is secret from the dermal layer of gum tree. Dermal layer of a gum tree. The dermal tissue protect the plants from loss of water. The dermal tissue protect the plants from loss of water, mechanical damage like breaking and splitting of branches, and invasion by parasitic and disease causing organisms. See, parasites, as you know already. Okay. So, who will give the shelter? That person is a host, and who will depend on that particular person? Who will come as a guest? That guest is a parasite. Okay. Here, some of harmful will be, some of helpful also. Be like mutual understanding also will be there in some parasites and hosts in between. Leeches are parasites in human body, and many are there like that. Some examples, and here in bigger trees, the dermal tissue forms several layers above the epidermis. It is called the bark. Okay, in big trees, the dermal tissue forms several layers above the epidermis, it is called a bark. It is called a bark. Okay. See here, the stomata and the root hair, as we discussed just now, the pore-like structures have stomata which are enclosed with two cells, bean-shaped cells, kidney-shaped cells. That is the stomata, and root also hairy-like structures are there, root hairs. The stomata and root hair also dermal tissues that are essential for gases exchange, transpiration, as well as absorption of water and minerals. Okay, so photosynthesis is also carried out by certain cells of the tissue. Okay, that is the important facts of dermal tissue. Now let us discuss about ground tissue. As you know, the ground tissue. Okay, the ground tissue, which tissue forms the bulk of the plant body. Okay, which tissue forms the bulk of the plant body, and which can give which can useful to store the food and provide physical support to the plant. Okay, so bulk of the plant body, this tissue can form the bulk of the plant body. Here you have seen the ground tissue in the TS of STEM figure 7. Make a sketch of the arrangement of cells you had seen. You can observe that cells appear larger with a nucleus that appear prominent. These cells form the ground tissue. It forms the bulk of the plant body. The ground tissue is useful for storing food and providing physical support to the plant body. Okay, so this ground tissue forms the bulk of the plant body, and ground tissue is useful for storing food and providing physical support to the plant body. Okay, this is use of that ground tissue. There are mainly three types of ground tissues. They are here, don't confuse, parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. What are they? Parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay, see here in dermal tissue, it is divided into three different types: epidermis, mesodermis, endodermis. Epi means outermost, meso means middle layer, endo means inner layer, right? So likewise here in ground tissue, there are mainly three types of ground tissue. They are parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay, please look at the screen. Parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay, parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Yeah, this is the arrangement of cells. Here the cells of the parenchyma are very soft, children. Okay, the cells of the parenchyma are soft, thin-walled, and loosely packed. Okay, cells of the parenchyma soft and thin-walled and loosely packed. Look at the screen, all of you. Okay, the parenchyma which contain chloroplast is called chlorenchyma. Okay, the cells of the parenchyma are soft, thin-walled, and loosely packed. The parenchyma which contains chloroplast, the parenchyma which contain chloroplast is called chlorenchyma. Okay, chlorenchyma. And here the parenchyma which contains larger cavities or air spaces is called aerenchyma. Okay, aerenchyma. See here, three are there: parenchyma, cholenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay, parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Here we are discussing about parenchyma. The cells of the parenchyma are soft, thin-walled, and loosely packed. Okay, the cells of the parenchyma are soft, thin-walled, and loosely packed. In this parenchyma, which contain chloroplast is called chlorenchyma. Chlorenchyma. The parenchyma which contains large air cavities, are spaces called parenchyma. The parenchyma which stores water or food or waste products is called storage tissue. Okay, in this parenchyma, actually, here three are there: parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. In ground tissue, there are three different types: parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Leave that. Then coming to parenchyma, in this again three are there. Okay, it's like these parenchyma cells are soft, thin-walled, loosely packed. This parenchyma which contains chloroplast. Okay, which contains chloroplast is called chlorenchyma. This parenchyma which contains large air cavities or spaces is called parenchyma. Which contain chloroplast. Chloroplast is a chlorenchyma. Which contain air cavities is parenchyma. Which contain chloroplast is chlorenchyma, and air cavities which contain air cavities parenchyma. And in this parenchyma which stores water, food or waste products. Water or food or waste products is called storage tissue. Here three are there, which contains chlorophyll is a chlorenchyma, and which contains air cavities is parenchyma, and which stores water or food or waste materials or waste products is called storage tissue. Okay. Ground tissue, three different types: parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Coming to parenchyma, in this again, this parenchyma is very soft and thin-walled and loosely packed. In this parenchyma, which contains chlorophyll is a chlorenchyma, and this which contains like air qualities is parenchyma, and which stores water or food or waste product is called the storage tissue. So again, parenchyma divided into three. Okay, chlorenchyma, not cholenchyma. Cholenchyma means again this is okay. Here chlorenchyma, chlorophyll, chlorenchyma. Next, air cavities, parenchyma. Okay, storage of food or waste products, water is a storage tissue. Like that, three are there. Okay, next parenchyma completed. Next, we can go for cholenchyma. So cholenchyma tissue have thick walled. Parenchyma are soft and thin walled, but here cholenchyma thick walled. Okay, have thick walled, longer cells. Okay, when compared with parenchyma. Okay, when compared to parenchyma, it is thick walled. Okay, and which consists longer cells. Right. Next, coming to sclerenchyma. In the sclerenchyma, the cells, look at the screen, all of you. In the sclerenchyma, the cells are thick-walled and tightly packed. See here, sclerenchyma cells are thick-walled and tightly packed without spaces. Tightly packed without spaces. So when compared with dermal tissue, the ground tissue is of various types, and some of the ground tissues help in photosynthesis. Some of ground tissues helps in photosynthesis because they consist of chloroplasts, chlorophyll. Okay. Okay, children, let us observe the ground tissues of some other stems. So I will show the diagrams of chlorenchyma, parenchyma storage tissue. Look at the screen, all of you. Here we have discussed chlorenchyma, parenchyma storage tissue. See here, These are the three: chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, and storage tissue. Okay. The cells of parenchyma are soft, thin-walled, and loosely packed. The parenchyma, which contains chloroplast, is called chlorenchyma, and the parenchyma, which contains larger cavities, is called aerenchyma, and the parenchyma, which stores water or food or waste products, are called storage tissue. Okay. What about cholenchyma? These three: chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, storage tissue. Three are comes under parenchyma. Okay, parenchyma. Okay, chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, storage tissue. Right. Next, here once again we have some characteristics of parenchyma. You can recall once again. The cells are living. The cells are thin-walled. There may or may not be intercellular spaces. May or may not be intercellular spaces. They are the most unspecialized cells. No deposition or seen. The cell wall consists only of cellulose. There is a prominent nucleus, cytoplasm, and vacuoles. Okay. Repeat once again characteristics of parenchyma. The cells are living. The cells are thin-walled. There are they may or may not be intercellular spaces. They are the most unspecialized cells. No depositions or seen. The cell wall consists only of cellulose. There is a prominent nucleus, cytoplasm, and vacuoles. There are some special types of parenchyma tissues. Storage parenchyma. The cells enlarge to store nutrients and water. Okay, and as we discussed just now. Okay, and parenchyma, air cavities are present in the parenchyma tissue to provide buoyancy to the aquatic plants. Aerenchyma. Next, chlorenchyma. See, here three are there, which consist chlorophyll is a chlorenchyma, which consists air cavities is aerenchyma, which store the food or water or some excretory materials, waste products. Okay, is called the storage tissue. Okay, the chlorenchyma. These parenchyma cells have presence of chlorophyll and hence can perform the function of photosynthesis. Okay, parenchyma, three are there: chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, storage tissue. These chlorenchyma cells have presence of chlorophyll, hence can perform the function of photosynthesis. Okay, parenchyma tissue is found generally in all parts of the plant body. Okay, parenchyma tissue is found generally in all parts of the plant body. It forms the ground tissue in leaves, stem, roots, and fruits. Parenchyma forms the ground tissue in leaves, stem, roots, and fruits, etc. Okay, and what is the function of parenchyma? The to store materials such as starch, protein, hormones, etc., and waste products such as gum, tannins, and resins. What are the waste products here? Gum, tannin, resin, etc. Please stand line, all of you. Parenchyma cells perform the metabolic activities of the plant. Okay, forms the packing tissue between the specialized tissue by providing turbidity. They provide mechanical strength. Chloroenchyma helps in performing photosynthesis. Okay, once again, I repeat the functions of parenchyma to store materials such as starch, protein, hormones, etc., and waste products such as gum, tannin, resin, etc. in storage tissue. Okay, this is a part of parenchyma. Parenchyma cells perform the metabolic activities of the plant. Parenchyma cells perform the metabolic activities of the plant and forms the packing tissue between the specialized tissue. By providing turgidity, they provide mechanical strength. They by providing turgidity, they provide a mechanical strength to the stem, the plant. Okay, chloroenchyma helps in performing photosynthesis, as you know, and chloroenchyma. Okay, they consist chlorophyll. That's why that helps in performing photosynthesis process. Okay. Next, this is a cholenchyma. First, three are there: parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay, so about parenchyma again, it's a different like have this there are three types. Okay, parenchyma in this, chlorenchyma, storage tissue, parenchyma. Three are there that we have discussed already. Now we can go for the cholenchyma, second one. Okay. Cholenchyma. Parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Okay. See here, cholenchyma tissue. Cholenchyma tissue have thick-walled, longer cells when compared with the parenchyma. Have discussed already. Okay. What about sclerenchyma? Sclerenchyma cells are thick-walled and tightly packed without spaces. So when compared with the dermal tissue, the ground tissue of various types of the ground tissue is of various types, and some of the ground tissues helps in photosynthesis. Okay, and here sclerenchyma, some characteristics also given here. It has cells which are somewhat elongated. The cell walls are thin except at the angular region. Angular region where the cells join. What is the angular region, children? Here, where the cells join. The thickenings are caused due to deposition of cellulose or pectin. Okay, the thickenings are caused due to deposition of cellulose or pectin. There is less or less intercellular spaces. Okay, there is no intercellular space or very less intercellular spaces, and the cells are living have distinct nucleus and a dense protoplasm. They often contain chlorophyll. Often contain chlorophyll. The functions of a sclerenchyma, providing mechanical strength, is the primary function due to the thickenings are caused due to the deposition of cellulose or pectin. So providing mechanical strength is the primary function, and provide flexibility also, and photosynthesis as they contain chlorophyll. Okay, so they are present below the epidermis in dicot stems and leaves. They absent in dicot roots and all parts of monocot plant. Okay, so here cot means cotyledon. Cotyledon is nothing but a seed leaf. Seed leaf. Monocot means which consists a single seed leaf. All comes under monocotyledons, and dicots means two cotyledons, nothing but two seed leaves. Okay, two seed leaves. While the germinating that seed, will the seed will rupture and the leaf will come from that seed. If that consists single seed leaf, monocot, two seed leaves, dicot. Monocot nothing but monocotyledon, and dicot nothing but dicotyledon. that all plants are comes under that particular like classification monocots and dicots dicotyledons. Okay, and see here. So by taking permanent slide, we can observe that about chlorenchyma, arenchyma, and storage tissue. See children here. Do you know? But Nehemiah grew. Okay, let us read once about Nehemiah grew 1641 to 1712. Nehemiah grew 1641 to 1712 was a practicing physician and worked as a secretary of the Royal Society in London. Okay, he began his work on the study of internal structure of the plants in the year 1664. Okay, he began his work on the study of internal structure. What is his work? Study of internal structure of the plants. In which year? 1664. Grew's fundamental influence was every plant organ consists of two types of organical parts. Okay, his influence was every plant organ consists of two types of organical parts. One is pithy and other is ligneous part. One is pithy and another one is ligneous part. So, his inference. What is his inference? His inference. See here, all of you. Is a physician and his work is on the study of internal structure of the plant in the year 1604. Good fundamental inference. The main fundamental inference was every plant organ consists of two types of organical parts. What is his inference? Every plant organ consists of two types of organical parts. What are they? One is a pithy and other is ligneous part. Okay. So Grew gave the term of parenchyma for the pithy part and Grew initiated the study of tissues. See here, children, the study of tissues is histology. Histology. Okay. We can use this histology word in the branch of science. As I shown in last class, how to write CW. In that, we have branch of science. Histology word you can use there. Histology, histology, nothing but study of tissues. Study of tissues, the plant body. Okay. So Grew gave the term. His influence was a plant organ. Every plant organ consists of two types of organical parts. Those are pithy and ligneous part. What are they? Pithy and ligneous part. So Grew gave the term parenchyma for the pithy part. Grew gave the term parenchyma for the pithy part. And Grew initiated the study of tissues histology in plant bodies and published his work as a book that is Anatomy of Plants in the year 1682. Okay, he published his work as a book. The book name is Anatomy of Plants in the year 1682. See here, children. Next, vascular tissue. Okay, vascular tissue is also very, very important. And here mainly vascular tissue. We know that roots can absorb water from the soil and send it to other parts of the plants. You know already, plant needed water also for the photosynthesis process, and the roots can absorb the water from the soil particles and send it to other parts of the plant. The leaves and other green parts prepare food. Leaves and other parts prepare food and green parts. Okay, prepare food and supply it to all the parts of the plant. So to prepare the food that need water. Where water is present in soil. So roots can absorb the water and can supply, can send that water to other parts of the plant. Right? So let us study the tissues involved in transportation. Here, how the water which is absorbed by the roots can be transported. How the food which is prepared by the leaves, green parts of the plant is supplied overall the body. Here, that is our question. So, how it is supplying? How the water is supplying overall to overall the body? How water is sending to overall the body, and how food is uh, distributing to overall the parts of the plant body. Okay, so to know about that, before that, we have to know about the vascular tissue and transportation. Okay, let us study the tissues involved in transportation. We have done an experiment on the transportation in class 7th, right? Please. In the chapter on plant nutrition, we have observed that when a plant is kept in red color, okay, with colors you have done in 7th class. When a plant is kept in red color water, some of the parts of the plant turn red. Okay, do the same experiment again by keeping a small plant with roots in red colored water. So by that you can understand the water is sending to overall the body parts. Okay, leave it for 2 hours. Now cut a TS of the stem, transverse section, horizontal section cutting of the stem and observed it under the microscope. Which part of the plant is responsible for the transportation? And you can know. Then you can draw a sketch diagram, the parts and mark that appears red. Okay, see here. So what do you conclude from your observation? The tissues involved in transportation are vascular tissue, children. They are composed of different types of cells which shows a specific arrangement. The tissues that appeared red, see here, the tissues that appeared red are xylem. Here vascular tissue, again it's divided to xylem and phloem. Okay, XYLEM xylem and PHLOEM phloem. So here the tissues that appeared red are xylem tissue, and the cells adjacent to these, as shown in the figure, are phloem. Please look at the screen, all of you. The tissues are appearing in red color is xylem, and adjacent of these the adjacent cells of this xylem is phloem. Okay, please look at the screen. See here, and phloem tissue, xylem is responsible for the transportation of materials like mineral, water, and salts. Okay, like water and salts, minerals. Okay, from the root, and phloem helps in the transportation of the food materials. Very important. Here, xylem, radical parts of xylem, and adjacent cells are phloem. Here, xylem is responsible. Xylem and phloem both are responsible for transportation, which is comes under vascular tissue. Okay, fine. If we go deeply, xylem is responsible for transportation of water and salts, minerals. Okay, and phloem, food. Okay, so phloem is responsible for transportation of food material. Okay, prepared by photosynthesis to the other parts of the plants. Hence, they are known as conducting or vascular tissues. As conducting or vascular tissues. Here, conduction is taking place vascular in the vascular tissues. Xylem and phloem together form the vascular bundles. Xylem and phloem together form a vascular bundle. The vascular tissue give a mechanical support to the plant as well. Not only transportation of water and food material, minerals and salts, but also this vascular tissue can give mechanical strength, mechanical support to the plant body. Okay. So xylem and phloem together form the vascular bundle. See here, this is vascular bundle. Okay, vascular bundle. See children, here different cells of xylem and phloem also given here clearly. See here, xylem adjacent cells are phloem. Xylem is responsible for transportation of water, minerals, salts. Okay, and phloem is responsible phloem food. Okay, here just you remember that phloem, food. Okay, phloem is responsible for transportation of food material. Okay, see here, xylem contain important children. Xylem contain elongated trochanteric cells, tubular vessels, fibers, and parenchyma. Xylem contain elongated trochanteric cells and tubular vessels and fibers and parenchyma. Phloem contains long sieve cells and sieve tubes, companion cells, fibers, and parenchyma. There is a chance to ask this in objective type questions. Okay, so xylem contain elongated tracheids, okay, tracheid cells, tubular vessels, fibers, and parenchyma. Phloem contains long sieve cells and sieve tubes, companion cells, fibers, and parenchyma. Okay, see children here, an interesting fact about the vascular tissue. Do you know how the vascular tissue carry water to great heights in the plant's body? Okay, see children, it is up to nearly 200 feet in the eucalyptus plants and up to nearly 330 feet in the redwoods trees. Okay, it is up to nearly 200 feet in eucalyptus plant and up to nearly 330 feet in the redwood trees. We have seen in this lesson the plants have different types of tissues which are arranged in specific manner to carry out different functions in the plant body. Okay, here we have keyword children. After that, I am going to end of the session. See here keywords tissue. Please repeat all of you tissue. Meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue. Apical meristem. Apical meristem. Lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. Lateral meristem only cambium. Okay. Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. Dermal tissue. Dermal tissue. Epidermis. Epidermis. Bark. Bark. Ground tissue. Ground tissue. Parenchyma, parenchyma, cholenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma, vascular tissue, vascular tissue, xylem, xylem, phloem, okay, phloem, vascular bundles here, not vascular, vascular here. S is missed. Vascular bundles like xylem and phloem, like okay, xylem and a phloem together form the vascular bundles. Okay, what are the vascular bundles? Xylem and a phloem together form the vascular bundles, comma vessels, children. Okay, then this second chapter is completed. In next class, we can start animal tissues, lesson number 3. Okay, as time up, I am going to end up the session, children. Thank you. Thank you, Varandal, and prepare for test. Okay, thank you, Varandal.
Dear students, now you will have the revision of physics, okay? Physics subject, as ma'am is not here. You can start, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sanvi Learning Services. Yes, this is your physical science class. In the last session, we discussed about motion topic, right? We completed the chapter. So in this session, I want to start next chapter, laws of motion, right? So wait, I'll share the screen here. Yes. Our next chapter, laws of motion. This is a chapter 3. So in a second chapter, we learn about motion, right? We know that motion means the change in place, right? With respect to time. If the object is moving from one place to another place with respect to time, they are saying that is a motion. There we learn that distance, displacement, speed, velocity, average speed, average velocity, right? Acceleration, and we derive some equations, that is a accelerated uniform motion equations we derived there, and we learned some problems based on that equations, right? So now we are going to discuss about laws of motion. So first of all, I want to give you the introduction here. So we all learn about force in 8th class, right? So simply we can say that force means pushing or pulling of an object, right? So force is an external effort which may be move a body at rest or stop a moving body or change the speed of a moving body or change the direction of a moving body or change the shape and size of a body, right? So here what I am saying is this is an external force, okay? So force may be change, right? So which may move a body at rest. If we are applying any force to a resting body, so the resting body will move. Or by applying force to moving body, may it comes to stop, right? So here by applying force, we can move the object and we can make a moving object to stop. And a moving body, right, or change the speed of a moving body. By applying force, we can change the speed of a moving body, right? So we can increase the speed or we can decrease the speed of moving body. Or also we can change the direction of a moving body, right? So if an object is moving, so by applying force, we can change the direction also. Or we can also change the shape and size of a body. Yes? So here, effects of force given that force can move a body at rest. And force can stop a moving body. And force can change the speed of a moving body. Yes, force can change the speed of a moving body. And force can change the direction of a moving body. Yes, force can change the shape and size of a body. So here, next one, balanced and unbalanced forces. So look at here, balanced forces. If two forces act on a body in opposite direction, okay, so you can observe here F1 is one force and F2 is another force. Here two forces act on a body in opposite direction, and if both the forces are equal here, okay, so here if two forces act on a body in opposite direction and if both the forces are equal, then the resultant force acting on the body is 0. Okay, so if the two forces are equal and both are in opposite direction, so then here the resultant force acting on the body is 0. That means the object or body cannot move from one place to another place. Right? Here two forces acting in opposite direction and here two forces are equal. So the object is at rest. So we can say that the resultant force acting on the body is 0. So such forces are called balanced forces. Okay, so you can observe here. So these two forces are opposite direction and both forces are equal here. So the object is at rest until the forces are equal. If we change the force, any one of the force, if any one of the force is increased or decreased at any side, then the object will change its position. Otherwise, the object is at rest and here the force acting on the body is 0. So we can say that this type of forces are balanced forces. So balanced forces cannot change the state of rest or motion of a body. You can see here F1 equals to F2 because here both forces are equal. And next, unbalanced forces. So here, if two forces act on a body in opposite direction, okay, so here two forces act on a body in opposite direction and if one force is greater than the other, then the resultant force is not equal to 0 here. So such forces are called unbalanced forces because here one of the force is greater than the other. So that's why these forces are unbalanced here. So here the object can change its position here. So unbalanced forces changes the state of rest or the motion of a body. So here given F1 is greater than F2, right? So I said that here already one of the force here greater than the other. So next one, forces of friction. So force of friction is the force which opposes the motion of an object. Okay, so forces of friction. Force of friction is the force which opposes the motion of an object over a surface. Here always the frictional force acting on the object in opposite direction to the applied force on the object. Okay, so when we apply the force, you can observe the figure 2 here, middle figure. So here, if you are applying the force on this object in this direction, so frictional force will act on the object in this direction. Right? So here, always a frictional force acts on any object in opposite direction. So you can observe the examples here. So a ball rolling on ground gradually slows down and comes to a stop due to force of friction. Right? So when we kick the ball, it will move from one place to another place. After certain intervals of time, the ball comes to stop because here force of friction applied over surface of the ball. So that's why here the speed of the ball gradually decreases. Finally, it comes to stop at certain points. So if we stop pedaling a bicycle, what will happen? So it gradually slows down and comes to a stop due to force of friction. Okay, so here an object with uniform motion. Okay, so an object with uniform motion will continue to move with the uniform motion if the forces acting on it. Forces means here pushing force and frictional force. Okay, so here these are balanced. Okay, so an object with uniform motion will continue to move with uniform motion in the forces acting on it are balanced. So if an unbalanced force acts on the moving body, then its speed or direction of motion changes. Okay, so if unbalanced forces act on a moving body, then in its speed or direction, or both speed and direction changes. So if the unbalanced force is removed, okay, so here if the unbalanced force is removed means then it will continue to move with the speed it had acquired till then. Okay, so here the next one. So look at this room in this slide. So this room is so neat and tidy. So everything is so neatly placed in this room. So if no force was entered, okay, so if no one was entered into this room or disturb an object in this room, would they move by themselves? Okay, if no one was entered into this room or disturb an object in this room, would they move by themselves? So we can say obviously no. So what can we conclude from this? So we can conclude that an object at rest stays at rest if left undisturbed. Okay, so an object at rest stays at rest if left undisturbed. They will not move by themselves. Okay, here they will, no object will move. Okay, so here no object will not move by themselves here. So we can say that if an object at rest, it is continues to be at rest. Okay, so then what about moving object? So let's see here. So if you move this ball, okay, if you move this ball here, that is we kick this ball, what do we notice? So we notice that it has a tendency to come to rest after certain time. Here, this ball will not move continuously. It has a tendency to come to rest after a certain time. So, moving objects have a tendency to come to rest after certain time. Okay, so moving objects have a tendency to come to rest after certain time. So here, based on these two experiments, we can conclude that rest is a natural state. Okay, so we can conclude that rest is a natural state. So all objects tend to come to rest after certain point in time. Okay, so scientists believe in this motion of rest is a natural state for thousands of years. So before they proved wrong by another scientist, Galileo. So what they believed? So they believed in this motion of rest is a natural state for thousands of years before they proved by the scientist Galileo. Okay, so here we are seeing that an object at rest stay at rest if left undisturbed. So Galileo agreed that an object at rest stays at rest if left undisturbed. But he did not agree that an object in motion, okay, so he did not agree that and moving object have a tendency to come to rest. Okay, so instead he said an object in motion continues to be in motion with the same velocity if left undisturbed. Okay, he did not agree that an moving object have a tendency to come to rest. He said an object in motion continues to be in motion with the same velocity if left undisturbed. So that is, a moving object never stops unless a force is applied to it. Okay, if a force is applied to a moving object, then only it will stop. Otherwise, here the object will continues to be in motion with the same velocity if left undisturbed. So this statement given by scientist Galileo. Okay, so here we are saying that a moving object never stops unless a force is applied to it. So now this doesn't seem bad. So let us prefer a small experiment to validate this. Okay, so now here we have 3 different surfaces. Okay, so here this is a surface 1. Okay, this is a surface 1 and this is a surface 2 and this is a surface 3. So surface 1 made of grass, surface 2 made of ice, and surface 3 is a special surface. Okay, surface 3 is one of the special surface. So here we will try to roll a ball on each of this surface by applying an equal force. Okay, we are applying equal force on each surface. So observe what happens here. So, well, we notice that the ball moves a greater distance. Okay, when we kick each ball in each surface. So in each surface, the ball will move some distance here, right? So you can observe here the surface 1. So the ball covered the distance somewhat less when compared to the surface 2 here. Okay, so here the ball moves a greater distance in surface 2 as compared to surface 1 here. Okay. Here, the ball moves a greater distance in surface 2 compared to surface 1 here. And in this case, the surface, if we observe the surface 3 here, in the surface 3, the ball keeps moving with the same velocity indefinitely. Okay, so in surface 3, the ball keeps moving with the same velocity. Okay, right. So here, we notice that the ball doesn't stop immediately after we kick the ball. Okay, so here the ball doesn't stop immediately after we kick the ball. That is, immediately we withdraw the force from the ball. So the ball doesn't automatically stops. It moves certain distance before it's stopping. You can observe the surface 1 and surface 2. Right? So it covers some distance on the surface. Right? It moves certain distance before it's stopping. So we can say that force is not exactly required to keep the ball in motion. The ball can continue to move even when we are not applying a force on the ball. Okay, so force is not exactly required to keep the ball in motion. Okay, so the ball can continue to move even when we are not applying a force onto the ball. So what stops this ball on surface 1 and surface 2 here? So here, the ball stopped because here all surfaces exert a force onto a object placed on them. Okay, so this force is known as here frictional force. Okay, so this force is known as here frictional force. So this force opposes the motion of the object. Okay, frictional force opposes the motion of the object. So even when we cannot observe any force acting on the ball, then there is a frictional force acting on the ball which is in the opposite direction of the motion of the ball. Okay, so here the frictional force is in opposite direction to the motion of the ball. Right? So this is the force applied by us and this is the frictional force. So now, why was it that the ball moved a greater distance on surface 2 as compared to surface 1? So this is because a frictional force acting on the ball on surface 2 was less than the act of surface 1. Okay, on the surface 2, frictional force is less when compared to surface 1. On surface 1, frictional force is more. Okay, so here surface 1 is grass surface and surface 2 is ice surface, right? So here on ice surface, frictional force is somewhat less when compared to this grass surface. So that's why here the ball, the ball on the surface 2 move a greater distance when compared to the surface 1 here. Okay, so hence here the ball on surface 2 able to move a greater distance as compared to surface 1, right? Because of less friction on surface 2. So now what about surface 3 here? Right? So what about surface 3? So here I had mentioned surface 3 is special surface, right? So surface 3 is prepared in such way that it is frictionless. When compared to surface 2, surface 3 is more frictionless. So that is, it does not exert any friction of an object placed on it. Okay, it does not exert any friction of an object placed on it. So, and what did we observe for surface 3 here? So, we observe that the object we kept, right, moving with the same velocity indefinitely. So, we can conclude that an object in motion stops due to presence of a force, not due to absence of a force. Okay, so here an object in motion stops due to presence of a force, not due to absence of a force. So the force over here was the frictional force, which was making the ball stops. Right? So if there was no frictional force, as in case 3 or surface 3, the ball would have kept moving with the same velocity indefinitely. Right? So here on surface 3, there was no frictional force. So that's why the ball would have kept moving with the same velocity indefinitely. Okay? So I said already, an object in motion stops due to presence of a force, not due to absence of force. So here, Newton summarized this in his first law. Okay, so look at here what he summarized in his first law of motion. So an object at rest continues to be at rest, and an object in motion continues to move with the same velocity unless an unbalanced force is applied to it. Okay? So here, an object at rest continues to be at rest. An object in motion continues to move with the same velocity unless an unbalanced force is applied to it. So here, if the object is at rest, it is continuously at rest only. If we apply any external force to that resting object, then only the object will move. Otherwise, the object continues to be at rest only. Right? If an object in motion, it continues to move with the same velocity. If there was no external force applied to it, it is continues to be in motion. Okay, if we apply any external force to the object, moving object, it comes to stop. Right? So that's why we can say that an object at rest continues to be at rest, and an object in motion continues to move with the same velocity unless an unbalanced force is applied to it. So we can say that force is the cause of change in state of motion. Right? So force is a cause of change in state of motion. That means force can change the moving object to comes to stop, or also force can change a rest body to move. So here force is the cause of change in state of motion. So here you can observe here in this picture. Right here, wait. Yes. Here, observe figure 1. So when we apply force to this object, it will move in this direction, right? So this is the applied force. So after some time, this object will comes to rest. So here, what is the direction of motion? So here the direction of motion of this object is in this direction, right? So after some time, this object will comes to stop. So here, an external force is applied on this object that is in opposite direction here. Right? So here in the first one, the object is moving in some direction. So here we can see that force is a cause of change in velocity. Okay, so force is a cause of change in velocity. So change in velocity means force is a cause of acceleration. Right? So here the acceleration of this object is positive here. Right? So here we are seeing that force is a cause of change in velocity. And also we can say that force is a cause of acceleration. Right? So here this direction of motion of acceleration is positive in the first case, and the direction of motion, that is opposite direction of motion here, right? So here the acceleration is negative because in the second case the object comes to stop after certain time. Here the force applied on this object is in opposite direction here. Right? So here, in the first case, velocity increases from 0 to positive. Right? The body is at rest at first. Right? So when we apply some force or when we kick the ball will start moving. That means here the velocity increases from 0 to positive in this case. Right? So here, when the direction of force is in line with the direction of motion, then acceleration is positive. Okay? So here, when the direction of force is in line with the direction of motion, then acceleration is positive. In the second case, the velocity is decreases. Right? So when the object is in motion, there the object will have some velocity. But here, an external force is applied to this object that is in opposite direction. Then the object comes to stop. There the velocity comes to 0. That means here the acceleration is negative. Here both for applied force and frictional force are in opposite direction, right? So here we can say that the acceleration is negative. Yes, so here we are saying that force is a cause of change in velocity. That means here it can change the speed of an object also and direction. Okay, so here the speed of an object changed here from figure 1 to figure 2 and direction of motion is also changed. So if the force is the cause of change in velocity, then the speed or direction of the object is also changed. So
So dear students, that's it for today. Please be prepared to attend the examination tomorrow. As usual timing, that is 9 o'clock. Please prepare well. I hope that you have all received your timetable of FA1. Thank you all.